Have you ever wondered why some people manage to keep their house immaculate even with 1,000 commitments? I discovered the answer, and no, it has nothing to do with hiring a cleaning lady or spending the whole day cleaning. In fact, everything changed when I met my neighbor Yuki, a Japanese lady who taught me secrets that completely transformed my domestic routine. I am 52 years old and, like many of you, I have always struggled to keep my house in order. 3 children, a husband, a dog, and a home office job made it seem impossible to have an organized environment. Until 2 years ago, Yuki moved into the apartment next door, and over cups of green tea, she shared with me ancient practices that revolutionized my life. The first mini habit I learned from her is what I call the inverted 5-minute rule. Unlike what many people say about doing quick tasks in 5 minutes, Yuki taught me to dedicate those minutes to preventing mess. For example, before starting to cook, I separate all the ingredients into small jars, organize the necessary utensils, and line the counter with parchment paper. It may seem like it takes longer, but in reality, I save about 20 minutes of cleaning afterwards. The second habit is Kukan no Kyokan, or empathy with space. Yuki explained to me that each object has its own energy and needs to breathe. I began to observe how things interact with each other. That drawer stuffed with cutlery? I discovered that the forks were fighting with the spoons, causing scratches and making it difficult to find what I needed. I reorganized everything with diagonal bamboo dividers, a technique that allows each piece to have its own path for being taken out. The third mini habit is the one that surprises people the most, the mist method. Every night, before going to bed, I spray a mixture of water with 3 drops of cedar essential oil in the corners of each room. Besides the pleasant aroma, cedar has natural properties that repel insects and purify the air. But the true secret lies in the ritual itself. While spraying, I observe every corner of the house and mentally note what needs attention the next day. The fourth habit revolutionized my relationship with the laundry, Sentaku no Junjo, or sacred sequence of clothes. Forget about sorting only by colors. Yuki taught me to organize by weight and texture. Heavy clothes like jeans go first, creating a rotating base that helps clean lighter pieces. And the unusual trick? I put a small cedar wood ball with them. It helps absorb moisture and reduces drying time by 30%. When my eldest daughter returned from college for a weekend, she was amazed by the transformation. "Mom, the house looks bigger," she said. And she was right. Not because there were fewer things, but because each space now breathes better. The secret is not in cleaning more, but in getting dirty less and maintaining a conscious connection with every corner of the house. And you know what's even more interesting? Since I adopted these habits, I have been saving about 40% on cleaning products. Not because I use less, but because I learned to use them correctly. For example, I discovered that most people use too much detergent on dishes, which actually makes it harder to remove grease and requires more water to rinse. The fifth mini habit I learned from Yuki is what she calls Mawaru Siri, or circular organization. Unlike what we have always done in the West, where we arrange things in straight lines and stacks, I started placing objects in circles or semicircles. For example, in the kitchen cabinet, the spices are placed on a rotating plate, organized not in alphabetical order but by frequency of use. Those I use daily are kept closer to the edge, creating a natural and intuitive movement. A fascinating discovery was the impact of this system on my memory. Before, I would constantly forget where I stored things. Now, the very circular movement helps my brain map the location of objects. It's as if each item has its own orbit in the house. The sixth habit is the one that generated the most curiosity among my friends, Kuki no Naga, or intelligent airflow. Yuki taught me that most houses have points of stagnant energy, usually in the corners and behind large pieces of furniture. The solution? Small bamboo wind chimes strategically positioned. No, it's not decoration. They indicate whether the air is circulating properly. If the chime doesn't move for days, it's a sign that I need to reorganize that space. This made me realize something curious. On days when the airflow is better, everyone in the house sleeps more soundly and wakes up more refreshed. My husband, who had always been skeptical about these things, was the first to notice the difference. He even stopped snoring. And to think that before we used to spend a fortune on humidifiers and air purifiers. The seventh and final mini habit is perhaps the most powerful, Shukan no Kasiki, or ritual of transitions. Every time I switch activities during the day, I dedicate 60 seconds to realign the space. If I finish working on the computer, I don't just close the laptop, I organize the cables, clean the screen with a special microfiber cloth, and position the chair at a specific angle that Yuki taught me. This ritual has an impressive psychological effect. It's as if each transition is a mini meditation that helps the mind prepare for the next task. My middle child, who has ADHD, started copying this habit, and his teacher noticed a significant improvement in his concentration at school. One of the most surprising discoveries was how these habits affected my finances. By keeping everything organized and in its proper place, I started buying less. Not because I deprived myself, but because I finally knew exactly what I had at home. That drawer full of odds and ends that every house has. I transformed it into a creative resources space. Each item has a potential purpose. And it doesn't stop there. I began to notice interesting patterns. On days when I followed all the mini habits rigorously, I received more unexpected visitors. It's as if the house exuded a welcoming energy that attracted people. My upstairs neighbor even commented that she feels a difference in the air when she passes by my door. Something I never imagined is how these Japanese mini habits would eventually influence other areas of my life. For example, I started applying the principle of Mawaru Siri, circular organization, to my weekly planning. Instead of making linear to-do lists, I created a system of concentric circles, where the most important activities are in the center. It's incredible how this reduced my anxiety about deadlines and commitments. A particularly interesting discovery was what Yuki calls Kage no Chie, or wisdom of the shadows. She taught me to observe how natural light interacts with the different spaces in the house throughout the day. I reorganized the furniture not just for functionality, but considering how the shadows move. The result? My energy bill dropped by 25% because I now make better use of natural light. Another fascinating aspect is what I learned about colors. Unlike the white minimalism that many people associate with Japanese style, Yuki taught me about shikisai no chawa, or seasonal chromatic harmony. Every 3 months, I make small changes to the colors of the environments using simple items like cushions, napkins, or even decorative fruits. In winter, for example, dark red and brown tones in the social areas stimulate a sense of coziness and improve digestion. A practice that revolutionized my kitchen was the Deidokoro no Kusoku, or breath of the kitchen. Yuki explained that the kitchen is like a living being that needs to breathe properly. I started organizing the cabinets by always leaving a 2-finger gap between items. This not only makes cleaning easier, but also prevents that musty smell that used to build up. And there's more. I discovered that spices last up to 30% longer when stored this way. The impact on the family routine was beyond what I expected. My husband, who was always the type to leave things scattered around, naturally began to change his habits. Not because I asked or complained, but because the organized environment started to unconsciously influence his behavior. He developed his own ritual. Every time he comes home from work, he has a moment of reconnection with home. He takes off his shoes, organizes his belongings, and only then allows himself to relax. Visitors always ask me what the secret is to keeping everything so harmonious without it looking like a store showroom. The answer lies in what Yuki calls Saikotsu no Rizumu, or rhythm of domestic life. Every object tells a story, has a real function, and is positioned in a way that creates a natural flow of energy. It's not about having fewer things, but about having the right things in the right places. A subtle but significant change was in the way I handle indoor plants. Yuki taught me that it's not enough to just put them in any corner. There is a science behind their placement that considers not only light, but also airflow and interaction with other elements. For example, I discovered that having a fern near the area where I wash dishes helps maintain balanced air humidity and reduces the proliferation of fungi. And speaking of air, we developed a natural purification system that I call the curtain of well-being. In strategic points of the house, I hang small fabric bags with specific mixtures of dried herbs. Each environment has its own combination: lavender and rosemary for the bedroom, mint and basil for the kitchen, cedar and sage for the living room. Besides the pleasant aroma, These herbs have natural antibacterial properties. One of the most surprising aspects of this journey was discovering how these mini habits positively affected my family relationships. The Kazoku no Wa, or harmonious family circle, as Yuki calls it, became a weekly ritual in our home. Every Friday night, we gather for half an hour to do a quick collective organization. Each family member chooses a room or area and applies the principles I learned. What's most interesting is that this turned into a moment of connection and mutual learning. My youngest son, for example, developed a special talent for Kuki no Nagar, intelligent airflow, and is now responsible for adjusting the wind chimes and checking the air circulation throughout the house. My middle daughter discovered a passion for minimalist floral arrangements, creating small compositions that change weekly and bring new life to each environment. Something that surprised me was how these habits improved my productivity working from home. The Shirgoto no Kokken, or sacred workspace, became a fundamental concept. I learned to create an invisible boundary around my work area using feng shui techniques adapted by Yuki. For example, I place a small water fountain to my left to stimulate the flow of creativity, and a quartz stone to my right to maintain focus. The result? My productivity increased by 40% and, interestingly, I started having more innovative ideas for my projects. A practice that generated a lot of interest among my friends was Kazetsu no Sunrei, or seasonal baptism. With every change of season, we perform an energetic cleaning of the house. It isn't mystical or complicated at all. We simply open all the windows for 15 minutes, regardless of the weather, and then light a natural herb incense in each room. It's amazing how this renews the atmosphere of the house and seems to reset everyone's mood. The impact on our health was also remarkable. The Genki na ie, or vital house, became more than just a concept, it's a tangible reality. Since we implemented these habits, my husband's allergies have practically disappeared, and I no longer have those frequent headaches I used to attribute to stress. Yuki explains that this is due to the reduction of dust and the improved air quality, but also to a less tangible factor, the reduction of visual chaos that used to overwhelm our senses without us realizing. One of the mini habits that intrigued me the most initially was Mono no Kokoro, or the heart of objects. Yuki taught me to develop a more conscious relationship with every item in the house. Before discarding something, I started performing a small ceremony of gratitude. Yes, it may seem strange to thank an old towel, but that completely changed my relationship with consumption. I began buying less and valuing what I have more, resulting in significant savings and a less cluttered home. The concept of motonai, or no waste, took on a new meaning in our routine. We developed a creative system of reuse that transformed our household waste. For example, citrus fruit peels are dried and turned into aromatic sachets for drawers, glass bottles become vases for aromatic herbs in the kitchen, and even leftover soap is collected in a small net in the bathroom, creating a multicolored soap ball that became a hit with visitors. One of the most fascinating discoveries was the impact of these habits on the quality of our sleep. Nemuri no Jujutsu, or the art of deep sleep, became an essential practice. Yuki taught me that the bedroom should be treated as a sanctuary dedicated exclusively to rest. We removed all electronic devices and implemented a nighttime ritual that includes burning a small amount of dried lavender in a special ceramic container, 30 minutes before going to sleep. The result was surprising. Not only did we start falling asleep faster, but the quality of our sleep improved significantly. My husband, who always had trouble with insomnia, now sleeps soundly through the night. And me? Well, I discovered that I need fewer hours of sleep to feel completely restored. It's as if every minute of sleep now counts as 2. Another aspect that revolutionized our family life was the Shikuji no Wa, or circle of the meal. Yuki taught me that the way we prepare, serve, and consume meals has a profound impact not only on digestion but on overall family harmony. We started using smaller, shallower plates, which naturally led to more balanced portions. In addition, we implemented the habit of always having 5 different colors in each meal, something that not only made our meals more nutritious but also visually appealing. A mini habit that aroused a lot of curiosity among my friends was Genken no Meiho, or magic of the entrance. Yuki taught me that the entrance of the house is like an energetic filter. We created a small transition ritual. Upon arriving home, besides taking off our shoes, a common practice in Japanese culture, we pass our hands through a small water fountain with a few drops of lemon essential oil. It's amazing how this simple gesture seems to wash away the stress of the day and prepare us for the domestic environment. The practice of Kansha no Jikan, or moment of gratitude, became a cornerstone in our daily routine. Every morning before breakfast, we gather for 2 minutes to express gratitude for something related to our home. It can be as simple as thanking for a hot shower or as profound as recognizing someone's effort in keeping a space organized. This habit not only improved our family communication, but also made us more conscious and appreciative of our home. A subtle but powerful change was the implementation of Hikari no Chozei, or light adjustment. Yuki taught me about the importance of adjusting the lighting throughout the day to be in tune with our circadian rhythms. We installed dimmers on all the main lights and created a lighting map for each time of day. In the evening, for example, we use only indirect, warmer-toned lights, which have helped everyone relax naturally and prepare for sleep. The concept of Kuki Seiho, or pure air, took on a new dimension in our home. In addition to the ventilation practices I mentioned earlier, we started cultivating specific plants known for their air-purifying properties, such as snake plant and peace lily. We placed these plants strategically around the house, creating what I affectionately call green lungs in each environment. Finally, perhaps the most impactful of all the mini habits is Kokoro no Soji, or cleaning of the heart. Once a week, usually on Sundays, we dedicate 15 minutes to sit in silence in different parts of the house. It isn't meditation in the traditional sense, but a moment of conscious connection with the space around us. We observe, feel, and attune ourselves to the energy of each environment. It's astonishing how this has made us more intuitive regarding the needs of the house and each other. Reflecting on this journey, I realized that these Japanese mini-habits did much more than keep our house clean and organized. They transformed our home into a true sanctuary of well-being and harmony. Every corner now tells a story, every object has a purpose, and every family member feels truly connected to the space we share. If there is one lesson I learned from Yuki that I would like to share, it is that true organization does not come from the outside in, but from the inside out. It is not just about physical tidiness, but about cultivating a mindset of care, respect, and gratitude for the space we inhabit. And the most amazing part? It all begins with small gestures, mini habits that, day after day, transform not only our home but our lives as a whole.